Dean Penny, welcome. This is Conversations from the Vault, our June edition, and it's brought to you by Angelina Corroo of HomeTowne Realty. And welcome, we're glad to have you with us today.
Thank you, Dana. I'm very pleased to be here.
Yeah, so I'm excited to talk about what you've got up your sleeve, the Copper District, right?
Yeah.
So, get lots of questions about what is it, what's going to be there, what's it going to do for the community and change the face of Clayton, really, so to speak. So tell us a little bit about the history of, how, in your vision of how it came about.
Okay. Well, it first started in my former career of consulting engineering. Craig Davis was one of my clients, and so I've been in the engineering and consulting business and development for almost 40 years. And in the last 10 years, my cousins, who were the heirs to our family farm, the farm that's been in our family since the 1930s.
Right, and it's on 42.
It's on
West.
42. There at the interchange with the future I-42,
Sure.
Near the hospital. And so that piece of property's been, like I said, in our family for a long time, and it's near and dear to my heart because it's where my dad grew up and where I spent a lot of my childhood. And so when my cousins decided to sell, they went through a few development companies before I found out about it, to be honest. And so I went to my cousin Paul and said, "Paul, I can help you if you want to help." And so, through several conversations, brought in Craig and had a lengthy discussion with him about what the family's vision was. And did that marry with what Craig Davis Properties could bring to the table. And fast forward, here we are, and Craig was able to get the land under contract, and over a series of months and now a couple of years, he convinced me to come out of retirement and be a part of the team to see this get developed.
So you get to see it from the ground floor up and all the in-betweens between, working for them now and getting the land sold. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's really a very unique opportunity for me. I live right behind that,
Sure.
and so.
And you're a Clayton native.
I am absolutely born and raised.
Far between these days.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal to see the growth that Clayton has gone through in my lifetime, and fortunate to have lived here, grown up here. Never really worked here. I worked all over the country and was always lived here, but just didn't work here. And so, it's a really unique opportunity for me. And
Do you see Clayton in a different perspective working here?
Yeah, so in some respects, but in others, it's still my hometown.
Yeah.
I look at it as I had an option. I could sit back and stay retired and watch somebody else do this,
Sure.
and then pick it apart because I wouldn't.
Exactly.
It wouldn't be exactly like I'd want it to be, or I could, step in and commit and try to steer it in a direction that I think the community needs, but that I know it's where my family wanted it to see, and primarily that's we wanted to. That land's been farmed for a lot of years, but it's also a playground for, the kids that grew up in our family. It was work for our family and living, and that's what they really wanted to see, was an opportunity for families to work, live, and play on that land. And so they were very clear to me, we do not want big box retail, let's see you parking.
Sure.
And so right out of the chute, that was primary, number one as to what we really want. So that sort of set the stage for a number of conversations with the family and with us at Craig Davis Properties to lay out a vision for how we like to see the land developed.
Right.
And then Dana, what started out as a 70-acre, pretty large mixed-use, dense development has now grown to over 200 acres, and with some opportunity for it to continue to grow.
So for those who might not know what mixed-use property means, can you kind of explain that a little bit?
Sure. So, in the land development, you've got residential uses, you've got commercial, i.e. retail, restaurants, that kind of, and then you've got office, and then other ancillary uses, hotels, civic uses, that kind of thing. So traditional mixed use, in my mind, incorporates all of that in some degree, shape, or form. So our vision has a core to it, what we're now calling Zone A, which was the original 70 acres we got rezoned. Mm-hmm. And in that core, you're going to see a fairly dense variety of housing and residential types, office and residential, with a hotel.
Wonderful.
And then as you get out away from that core, you'll see a little more variety of residential and other civic uses.
Okay, wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the name, Copper District.
Okay.
That's an interesting story.
So,
I'd love for you to share that.
Yeah, glad to. So we have a really good consultant that we've worked with for a number of years called Art House. Mm-hmm. They're based out of Denver, and they've worked with us on a variety of projects. And of course, they came in and interviewed me and interviewed Paul and several other, Paul's my cousin, and several other people. And we started, throwing things against the wall to see what would stick. And we went for months and nothing really stuck.
Yeah.
And I'm on a conference call with them one day, and it just came to me. I said, one of my wife's and our first two dogs after we got married were named Copper. Mm-hmm. And we named them Copper Penny.
Right.
And one of the guys goes, I like it. What about Copper District? And it just rang.
You just knew.
I just knew.
Right.
That's it. And so the Copper tie to the Penny farm, but the name really came from one of my dogs.
I know, I love that story. And Ruth's trying to get you to put a dog statue out there.
She is, which be kind of neat. Actually, my oldest son, he's had three. So our Coppers were boxers,
right?
And he's now on his third boxer, and his current dog's named Copper too. So.
What a legacy! That's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right, Dean, let's talk about where the Copper District is located.
Okay.
That sets us up for all kinds of conversations.
Yes, it does. And I guess fortunately for us, from a development standpoint, it's in a tremendous location. Mm-hmm. And anybody who's engaged in real estate knows location.
Yeah.
So our location is right on 42 at the interchange with the current 70 bypass. And I know that's going to get renamed, and we're not talking about a bypass. It's Interstate 42. So the adjacency to the hospital is key. But what's really key to us is it is the first interchange off of the 540 loop around Raleigh. So the southern leg of the 540 loop is currently under construction to be opened in 24.
Right.
And the next leg to complete that loop is already funded and underway. So if you look at drive times from the Copper District location, we're literally just 15 minutes from downtown Raleigh, and 30 minutes to the airport. Yeah. Direct access via the interstates, to Interstate 40 as well as 95. So getting places to parts east, north, south, and west, it couldn't be a better location. And I've heard Mike Sims say a number of times, it's going to be the new front door to Clayton.
Sure it is.
And So I think for a lot of people that are not familiar with Johnston County and Clayton, the secret's out now. It's a great place to live.
Yeah.
And now with that access and with 40 opening up additional lanes, the location is just perfect for this.
Right. So it will be a destination.
We believe so. We believe so. Our vision is a very high quality. We are taking great pains to identify a tenant profile for our retail and restaurants. To meet a certain brand that we're going to try to play throughout the development, the right restaurants, the right coffee shops, the right retailers, and there's every development needs a certain level of mission retail, things that people need on a daily basis.
Right.
But then there's going to be what we think will really make the neighborhood is the experiential retail. And so we're putting a lot of thought into that and hoping to come up with the right mix to make this a unique place. Certainly there are other very successful mixed-use developments around Raleigh and in other states, and we're picking, hey, we like that and we like this,
right,
to create something very unique to Copper District.
Wonderful. So with growth comes traffic and infrastructure, things that you have to consider when you're building a project like this and developing a project like this. So talk about, I think that you're being very aware and cognizant of what you need to put in place. So talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely, glad to. Let me first state that people are coming to Clayton. We've already talked about that, and so these people need a place to live and need a place to play. Our land is becoming more and more valuable because it's getting harder and harder to find land for everybody to live. So to be more responsible, we've got to incorporate higher densities in smaller pieces of land rather than taking a half acre, 2 acres for every individual household. That's just not sustainable. So our vision of this is to create a place for people to live, work, and play in a smaller amount of land to accommodate that growth. And so that requires sewer and water and power and internet and all that. So, but if we do this right, it will actually result in less traffic than it would be if we were doing traditional sprawling development, where everybody has to get in a car to go to the grocery store, to go eat, or take their kids to school.
Exactly.
And so our vision for the land we've got under contract is to do more what we call traditional town planning with a grid of streets that will help disperse both vehicular and pedestrian traffic within the grid, rather than, as opposed to having a spine road that has a bunch of cul-de-sacs and everything off of it, and all that traffic feeds to the spine road that then has to take a lot of traffic.
Right.
So this network or grid within the acreage will then feed to NC 42, Amelia Church Road, and the bypass, so that people can get to and from Copper District, but a lot of the traffic within Copper District will be self-contained within it.
Right.
So it results in less traffic 3 miles, 5 miles out than it might have otherwise.
Sure, absolutely.
So from a other infrastructure standpoint, we're putting in a 1 million gallon elevated storage tank. We're building the infrastructure for sewer to handle not only Copper District but adjacent developments in the area as well. And we're beginning the discussions now with the Spectrums of the world and Google to make sure we've got the infrastructure in place for fiber and internet and that kind of thing. So.
Right. Wonderful. So this project is large on
Yes.
a scale that we've not seen around here, right? So let's talk about schedule.
Okay.
What are you anticipating? Start dates, completion dates and phases, and that kind of thing.
So I knew you were going to ask that because that's the first question I get is, when are you going to start construction?
That's
I
right.
think that's the first question I get.
You'd like to know that.
The second one is, are you going to put a Chick-fil-A in? So,
yeah.
So let's talk about schedule. Obviously everybody knows the world climate we're in now, and the financial markets have just been an astronomical challenge. But it is a large project. But all of our investors have been very optimistic about what we're doing, and we remain so. We are gearing up to be able to start construction on some of the first infrastructure pieces sometime this year.
Okay.
I hope that's very soon.
Right.
But it just sort of depends on the last few details we've got to work through with our financial team. But certainly planning to start this year. We hope to be able to deliver the first buildings, whether that's apartments, homes, or office, or a combination of all three, sometime in 26.
Okay.
From a long-term perspective, this is an 8 to 10 year build out.
Right.
This is, we're building a development that if you do it right, you're not going to do this overnight. So it's,
True.
I fully expect this to take, up to 8 to 10 years.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate, from what I'm hearing from you, you've certainly done your due diligence. You've certainly taken your time and really thought out this whole development, and you've done what I would consider put some heart and thought into this project. So what else would you like for us to know about the Copper District?
So a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes right now with working on our brand, starting to look at building footprints and massing and architecture. I think over the coming 2 months, 3 months, you're going to start seeing a lot more visuals. So I would just encourage people to stay tuned to our website, copperdistrict.com. Our Instagram account at @copper_district, and our Facebook page for Copper District, because we will be putting stuff out as we have it available.
Right. And you started putting some informational videos.
We have,
Yeah.
and of course you participated. You were a star in one of those. So
Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
it was that was very cool to see. I actually watched the 5-minute version of that again just a few days ago, and it's like, wow, that gives me chills watching it. But there's going to be more info coming out as we have it. And we have now engaged our brokerage team with CB Richard Ellis to work with our in-house brokerage team, and so we're aggressively beginning to market the tenants, and certainly we'll have announcements about those over the coming year,
Right.
Which will be exciting.
So let's talk about the process of bringing tenants into a project like this. I have found that it is a lengthy process. It can be quite daunting. So how has that experience been for you so far?
So great question. Let me start with, we believe that the retail will make or break the success of Copper District. And so we're putting a lot of emphasis, as I described a little bit earlier, about the profile and the types, and then getting down to the who.
Right.
And so going back to our location, we've got a lot of interest already, unsolicited.
That's good. I was going to see which way is it going? Are
so
they interested in you, or are you pursuing them?
It's going to be a combination of both.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of interest, some that are on the surface not the right fit.
Right.
You're going to get a lot of that.
Sure.
But then, it's finding those key ones that we think are the right fit and then going and pursuing them. And a lot of them, first they like to look, okay, what's your demographics? Within 1 mile, 3 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, what's the household look like? What's the income look like? That kind of thing. Where's my competition?
Sure.
And so we've developed, the mapping for that and are starting to work and tour different retailers around to give them a sense for where we are. Selling what our vision is really key, because if you drive by there today, it's a farm.
Right.
It's not what it's going to be.
Right.
But surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, within 5 miles of us, we've already got 100,000 people, and the median income's higher than most retailers would tell you they need. So our demographics are working well for us. So now then the next step is, okay, where would I go and what's going to be around me, and showing them site plans, concept site plans, and building rendering elevations. And just as concepts is that next step,
right,
as you get to the dance with them. And we're developing those graphics as we speak. And so that's what's exciting to me, is over the next 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, I think we're going to see a lot of that get developed, and that's when I fully expect over the next 6 to 9 months we'll be inking a few deals and having some announcements.
Good.
So
that'll be exciting. Can't wait to
so
hear what's coming.
It's obviously where the rubber hits the road when you get into financials with people.
Sure.
But we're confident that we can make that work.
Well, good.
So yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I might get my shoe shop.
Yeah. Shoe shop and your restaurants and your
that's right.
jewelry or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yep.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, what else would you like to talk about the Copper District?
Well, it is near and dear to my heart, and as I was thinking about it the other day, somebody asked me, what makes Clayton tick, and I was like, it's a little bit of what you talked about in the video is just the culture of Clayton, and having grown up here, I feel like I grew up at a time where. I think we both grew up. It was there was a lot. Most families had a belief in God and a strong family culture around them, but there was a huge community culture too.
Right.
And I think that still exists today in Clayton. And I think that's one thing that attracts people when they're coming. Mm-hmm. And so we are getting people from all over the country, and so finding a place that can be a good place for people to come here and stay and not come and leave is one of the things that really sticks out at me. But anyway, it's a opportunity of a lifetime for me. Hoping that as we go through the next 2, 3, and 5 years, that we'll see this really come to fruition, and everybody that I've been talking to now I see what your vision was.
Exactly.
And that's another thing that was kind of interesting is I've been having a lot of conversations with my neighbors that live in my neighborhood, like, what are you doing, Dean?
Yeah.
And after they see what I'm able to lay out a vision for them and talk about the things that we're going to be bringing, they go, oh, that'd be great,
Yeah.
So I think even all the neighbors that were a little nervous to begin with, most of them have come around now and said, this is exciting.
It is
So,
very, very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, we're thrilled that
Yeah.
you chose to do this, and it worked out that you could bring this to Clayton, and that you've been able to be a huge part from the beginning, and you're going to see it through to the end, and that's amazing.
Well, thanks be to God. He
I
just
know.
put me here. So,
I know.
yeah.
Well, we'll be listening and waiting for announcements as they come along, and looking forward to seeing the transformation of the property. And I drive by there all the time, so
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see something happen.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna move the house off the property Sunday.
We saw
So-
that. I guess I went by there the other day, and I thought, looks like they're getting ready to do something with
The house is up on wheels.
Yeah.
John and his team will be pulling it off on Sunday. So Jack's house is going to Jack Road.
Okay.
And the silo will go to the back of the farm. So we'll ultimately relocate that to my cousin's house.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, things are starting to change there.
Yeah.
But,
well, thanks for coming and sharing your vision and the history and how it all came to be with us. I appreciate you and appreciate all you do for this community and the Clayton Chamber. So thank you.
Thank you, Dana.